This video, I wish to share my views on getting a tattoo. Actually, this is a video response. Alright, so about getting a tattoo. First, you have to be aware of the society's views on tattoos. Now, a lot of times, our decisions in life are dictated about the type of employment that we're seeking. And if you do your research, most of these professional jobs look down on tattoos. Most of them will request that you cover them up, and some of them will just straight out not hire you if there's any visible tattoos. So really, there's a lot of discrimination in regards to getting tattoos. So you have to be aware of that. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's lives should be dictated about what type of job they are seeking. But the reality is that we have to make a living in one way or another. And you simply have to be aware of the negatives and the drawbacks of how these tattoos could have, affect your future. In an ideal world, we would be able to be expressive and not be discriminated because of because of us having a tattoo, or our style of hair, or our style of dress, or our skin color, or whatever. In an ideal world, but this is not an ideal world. So I personally think that, I know that tattoos, if you get the right type of tattoo, or art, tattoos are beautiful. It's art. It's basically art, and it's body art. And art is beautiful. But like I said, when you have these issues with society and type of employment, a lot of them will say, they don't want any visible tattoos. So if you get them on your forearm or your arm or your neck and things like that, then it could serve to be a disadvantage. I'd say that people that want tattoos should wait until they're older and they know more about themselves and what they would want to get on their body that would represent them more, precisely, because, for example, as a child, you may, like for example, when I was a child, 9 years old, I liked Michael Jordan, but now, grown out of that phase, now I'm heading towards other things. And as a child, you may like something, and then all of a sudden later on, you may grow out of it, and then you have a tattoo that's on your body that you can't get rid of, and it's not really representing you anymore. So that's something that you got to be aware of. If you're going to get a tattoo, I'd say that you would want something where it would represent you very well, and you won't really know what you won't really know enough about yourself until you get older, and then you kind of decide from there what would be a good symbol for you, or something that would represent you better. I'd say that when you do get a tattoo, I'd say that one thing that's very important is the meaning behind the tattoo. Basically, what you're putting on your body, in all language for that matter, it's symbols. It's just a symbol. Words are symbols, pictures are symbols, and things of that nature. And you have to be very aware of what these symbols represent. I mean, if you get a certain tattoo and you don't know what the meaning behind it, and then later on you discover that it's not what you represent, then it could be very, it could be a very bad experience for you. So I'll take, for example, a movie, where a person's life changed. So, for example, that movie American History X with Edward Norton. At the beginning of the movie, he's very like, extremely racist. He was standing for the Nazis and things of that, and he was basically like in a gang that was representing like a Nazi gang, and he had like a Nazi symbol on his chest. But then he, throughout the movie, he went to jail and he started to learn, and he started to grow out of that, and he started to become, wiser, and started to see that, that being that way was not a good thing. So then he grew out of that, and then when he got out of jail, he didn't want to represent that anymore. And he was a changed man. But then that Nazi symbol that was tattooed on his chest was still there. So that's an example of where definitely you would not want to be in that situation of where you have something tattooed on your body that no longer represents you, the way that you would want to be represented. I say that a lot of times when you join, anything where you're part of a group, it's not really representing you, it's representing the group. And if the group does not, if the group strays and becomes something that you do not, something you do not no longer agree with, then it could be big problems. So for example, if you joined, say you join some type of group, no matter if it's a gang or fraternity or whatever, some group, and then in that group the people just did horrible things that totally misrepresented what you stand for, and then now you have that tattooed on your body. That's not good. It's almost like, say you're dating a woman, you're in love, and then all of a sudden, things fall apart. You guys divorce and everything, and you have her name tattooed on your chest, and then now, it was a bitter divorce or a bitter breakup, and now you're moving on to the next girlfriend or next wife, and now you have your ex-wife's name tattooed on your chest. I mean, that's not a good thing, so you have to be really aware of what you put on your body, because pretty much it's going to be there until you're dead. And my views about it is I believe that if it's done the right way, it's very artful. Just like any art, for example, you got paintings, and you got $1 million paintings where people are just amazed by the quality and beauty of artistic creativity of these paintings. For example, like Vincent van Gogh, I read that one of his paintings was going for like $75 million in New York. It's very respected, and it's art. And then you got other art that's really nice, but then it's not respected, like graffiti, what you see people tagging up buildings and stuff like that. It's frowned upon by society, but it could be very artful and it could look really nice actually, but yet it's still frowned upon. So the placement of your tattoo is, it's important as well. If you get something tattooed on your forehead, it could cause a lot of negative attention than if you tattooed in an area of your body that's more discreet, like say your thigh or your shoulder blade or something like that. I believe that I also see that tattoos should be something where it's something that you want, not because you just want to impress other people. I think that that's not really a good way to go, is if people just get tattoos just because it looks cool. Like getting like barbed wire in their arm just because it looks cool. I think eventually you'll get bored of it and sick of it, and you're going to probably regret even having it there, because it's just, the interest fades out because there was no meaning behind it. It was just because it looked cool. It's kind of like getting the newest, shoes because everybody thinks it's cool, but then later on it's a fad that may pass away, and then it no longer is considered cool, and then people move on to other things. And I think if you get a tattoo that's like that, you're gonna be disappointed. But if you get a tattoo that really represents you and has a deep meaning behind it, then it's something that you could be happy with for your entire life. And another thing that I would say about it is that when you get a tattoo, it definitely, you're gonna have to be going through a lot of pain. There's pain involved, and you gotta be aware of that. So depending on what part of the body that you get it on, it's gonna be more painful in certain areas because certain areas are more sensitive. So be aware of that. What I say about the body is something that's it's not you. Basically, it's just you're gonna pass away. The body's gonna fail eventually. We're all gonna end up dead sometime eventually. So we're gonna be leaving this body. So realizing that the body is not like forever constant, that is like something that is not forever enduring, there's really no fear in getting a tattoo, because it's something that you're occupying this body for the time being, and then you're just gonna move on. So what I'm saying is that, like, it could, if you get the right types of tattoos, you could turn your body into a nice looking piece of art. And some famous people that I think had great tattoos that looked nice on them, like someone like Tupac Shakur, for example. He had tattoos on his body and it looked nice on him, but some other people, it doesn't look nice. And for Tupac, every little tattoo that he had a meaning behind it, and it represented him. It was his own creativity, rather than just like going into a tattoo shop and pointing at something, being like, all right, that's what I want. He would create something more specific that would represent him, as an individual. And I think that people should do that if they're going to get a tattoo, is to kind of represent, get something that represents you as an individual, rather than just copying off somebody else. The way that I view tattoos, I see it as very similar to like martial arts. Martial arts is essentially training in combat, and if you train it in the wrong way and you express it in the wrong way, then you will not really look like a martial artist. You'd be seen more like a violent criminal. But if you express it in the right ways, it could become very beautiful. It could become very artful, very peaceful. So tattoos can be represented the same way. If you express it in the wrong ways, then people may look at your tattoo and look at you and kind of label you to be like maybe a criminal, or to maybe label you to be a thug or a gangbanger or something negative. But if you get the right type of tattoo and you express it, in the proper ways, then it could be something that's very beautiful. And as I stated earlier, the placement of tattoos is very important. I decided to put it on my back, for example, because then I would get the benefits of expression of my artisticness, and then at the same time not have to sacrifice being discriminated against in case I wanted to have a job where it's very conservative. So there would be very little jobs where they require you to take off your shirt. So I mean, really, having a tattoo in your back is not going to really affect the types of jobs that would be available to you. But if you have a tattoo on your forearm and stuff like that, it could hinder your opportunities. So really, that's something to be aware of. But I think mostly everybody wants a tattoo because they want it to represent themselves to be separate from the whole, and because of that we should basically pick our tattoos very wisely.